The weak species. The Delos Verge was a marvel, half-orbital embassy, half-art installation, floating like a crystal thorn above the dead moon of Iskron IV. For centuries, it had served as neutral ground for the Galactic Confederacy's elite. Its walls shimmered with nanoglass, its ceilings pulsed with soft, alien bioluminescence. And now, for the first time, a delegation from Earth had been invited inside. Sergeant Cole Ramirez stood still in his formal UN Marine dress blues, hands behind his back, spine straight. He'd been drilled not to fidget, not to stare, not to speak unless spoken to. Not that the Confederacy's upper echelons cared to speak to him. He was here as a symbol, a security escort with no actual function. He didn't even have a weapon. That had been part of the agreement. The humans could attend, but not armed. They were not yet spiritually tempered for lethal restraint, the Confederacy's cultural board had written. Cole didn't care. He'd stood guard in hotter zones, dirtier rooms. This place smelled like lemon and cold metal. The aliens barely acknowledged him, which was fine. Until they did. Earth spawn, a rasping voice sneered. Cole turned slowly. Ambassador Wyarartak of the Revec Dominion approached, his tall, beetle-like form draped in ceremonial silk. He towered over the humans present, with 6 segmented limbs, iridescent mandibles, and compound eyes that glinted with disdain. "I always forget how soft your species looks up close," Wyarartak said, voice amplified through his translator node. "So pink. So squashable." Cole didn't reply. He wasn't paid to talk. "Do they speak, or just grunt on your primitive world?" Wyarartak pressed, glancing toward the human diplomats sipping carefully rationed Confederacy wines. Cole's jaw tensed. He nodded once. "We speak." Wyarartak's mandibles clicked together in amusement. "Then answer me this. How does it feel to serve a species that still bleeds from its skin?" Cole smiled, tight and controlled. "We don't mind. We heal fast." The room quieted. Conversations slowed. Something was changing in the atmosphere. Wyarartak stepped closer, only inches from Cole's face. "Your people crawl into space as infants crawl across stone. You do not belong here. You are a novelty, nothing more." Cole's fists stayed at his sides. He knew the rules. Provocation was expected. Retaliation was forbidden. Then Wyarartak raised one of his thin, chitinous limbs and struck. It wasn't a powerful blow, more a ceremonial backhand. But it hit Cole clean across the cheek. Enough to sting. Enough to bruise. The room froze. Everyone saw it. Ambassador Desai, the lead human diplomat, stepped forward in horror. "Ambassador Wyarartak, this is not acceptable under." But it was too late. Cole Ramirez straightened slowly. He looked Wyarartak in the eyes. Compound, multifaceted, alien. He didn't speak. He punched. His right fist came from the hip, shoulder turned, spine rotated, legs rooted. A perfect boxing cross. A soldier's strike. Clean, practiced, instinctive. It connected with Wyarartak's face in a wet crack. The alien's body went airborne, lifted off his clawed feet and thrown backwards into a table laden with pulsating fruit. Plates shattered. Glass fell. Silence. Wyarartak didn't move. Every species in the room, Ulari, Dravari, the multi-throated Karoks, stood motionless. Cole breathed slowly. His hand throbbed, but he didn't flinch. "Let the record show," he said into the room, "that I was struck first." Confederacy guards closed in, weapons drawn, not plasma rifles, but neural suppressors, twitching and charged. Cole raised both hands slowly and stepped back. "I'm unarmed," he said. "No threat." The guards hesitated. Because there lay Wyarartak, still unconscious. A being from a race that could lift boulders with 3 limbs, dropped by one primitive human punch. The human delegation was escorted out immediately. Earth's ambassador shouted, pleaded, negotiated. But the punch had been thrown. And it had landed harder than anyone expected. Back in orbit, on a surveillance drone high above the moon, a Karok news node was already uploading the clip to the Confederacy's interspecies feed. The title read, "Primitive Earthling Assaults Noble Revec and Wins?" It went viral in under an hour. And on thousands of worlds, across 3 spiral arms, Alien citizens watched in stunned silence as one pink-skinned soldier did what no one thought possible. He fought back. And won. The Ripple. Aboard the UNS Franklin, Earth's diplomatic cruiser, the atmosphere was anything but calm. Ambassador Priya Desai paced the narrow meeting chamber like a storm bottled in silk. Holoscreens flashed Confederacy headlines, clips of the punch, slowed down, analyzed, memed. Every species with a comlink had seen it. Cole Ramirez sat on the far end of the room, hands folded neatly in his lap, a small bruise forming on his cheek. His knuckles were swollen. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Desai hissed. Cole didn't blink. "I followed protocol. Defensive action only." "It was a punch, Sergeant. Not a laser, not a sedative, not a neural flick. A closed-fist punch like some 20th century street brawler. You broke the ambassador's mandible in 4 places. His jawplate had to be fused with memory plastic." Cole shrugged. "Could have been worse. I pulled it." That silenced the room. Desai turned away, muttering curses in Hindi under her breath. Across the galaxy, things were not quiet. The Confederacy Council convened within 6 hours of the incident. Dozens of member species demanded sanctions. A few even pushed for Earth's removal from the provisional diplomatic roster. But others, quietly, curiously, requested data. The Revec were biologically strong, yes, but poorly adapted for kinetic impact. Their exoskeletal armor worked well against claws and plasma bursts, but not focused blunt trauma. No one had tested that before. Why would they? No one punched in formal settings. No one even trained in it, except, apparently, humans. A viral subnetwork sprang up overnight, Fistlings united. Alien viewers uploaded breakdowns of Cole's movement, reposted Earth martial arts videos, and debated the physics of a right cross. Some attempted to mimic it, with mixed results. One Dravari blogger posted, "Their fists are like natural weapons. Compact. Efficient. Built for leverage. They trained for this? For millennia. For sport." Back on Earth, military analysts scrambled to recontextualize what had happened. "Sir," said Commander Abbas in a defense briefing, "we've always known human musculature was unique. But the punch changed perception. We're not being seen as a curiosity anymore. We're being seen as a threat." A general leaned forward. One unarmed soldier broke centuries of political etiquette with a single strike. Abbas nodded grimly. And it worked. Meanwhile, aboard the Los Verge, the Confederacy Tribunal began a closed investigation. Cole, under Earth's legal advocacy, submitted a full report. His explanation was clear. He had been provoked, struck first, and reacted in controlled defense. No escalation. No weapons. The tribunal reviewed medical scans of YRR-TAC's injuries. Then they reviewed biometric scans of Ramirez. Heart rate, stable. Breathing, controlled. Muscle tension, premeditated. The impact force was significant, too significant for a so-called primitive. One Confederacy biotechnician summarized. This human showed tactical restraint. If he had struck with full rotation and follow-through, the Revec would not have survived. This was not a rage attack. It was trained. That word kept repeating. Trained. And that's what disturbed the Confederacy most. In orbit around Varn Prime, a popular alien holopundit spoke to a crowd of millions. "It wasn't the punch that shocked us. It was that it wasn't random. They teach this to each other. They've built systems around it. Philosophy. Honor. Technique. Entire sports leagues. These humans didn't just evolve to fight. They evolved to refine violence into language." The tribunal issued its ruling. No formal war crime had been committed. YRR-TAC had initiated physical contact outside cultural bounds. Earth's representative had responded with proportionate force. But their recommendation to the Council came with a warning. Do not underestimate humanity again. Their strength lies not in their size or tech, but in the terrifying elegance of their instincts. 2 days later, an encrypted message arrived at the UNS Franklin. It bore the seal of Zalzin, the Dravari martial patriarch and undefeated champion of the Confederacy's honor trials. A single sentence. Sergeant Ramirez. I request a duel. Ambassador Desai stared at it, mouth dry. Cole glanced at the message, then looked out the viewport. The stars stared back. I guess they still don't get it, he muttered. The duel. The honor pit was an ancient arena on Draver 9, carved from obsidian cliffs that echoed with 1,000 years of challenge and tradition. Here, warriors didn't fight for entertainment or spectacle. They fought for truth, for standing, for the soul of their species. Now, it would host a human. Sergeant Cole Ramirez stood in the center of the ring, bare-handed, stripped of armor, weapons, even his rank insignia. The only thing he wore was a compression suit and quiet confidence. Across from him, looming like a boulder carved into motion, was Zalzin. 9 feet tall. 4 arms. Heavy muscle grown under triple gravity. Scars ran across the Dravari's gray hide like battle maps. He wore no expression, only the ceremonial paint of his house. His species saw strength as a moral code. Mercy, to them, was shame. I expected you to decline, Zalzin rumbled as they faced one another. Cole rolled his neck once. Didn't want to be rude. From the surrounding cliffs, thousands of alien spectators watched silently. Confederacy officials, highborn Rivek, Ulari priests, and even curious mercenary captains lined the obsidian walls. This wasn't just a duel. This was an answer to a question the galaxy hadn't realized it was asking. What are humans truly capable of? A deep gong sounded. The fight began. Zalzin charged like a tank, unrelenting, thunderous. 2 fists swung toward Cole like sledgehammers. He dodged one, ducked under the second, and rolled to the side. The ground cracked behind him. Cole kept moving. He didn't try to match power. He didn't need to. He'd studied the recordings. Dravari fought like siege engines, overwhelming force, but limited angles. They expected submission after impact. They weren't used to prey that moved. He struck fast, snapping jabs to the ribs, then pivoting out. No wasted energy. Zalzin growled and spun with frightening speed, backhanding with an upper arm. It caught Cole across the shoulder and sent him sprawling. Pain burst through his back like lightning. He rolled, spat blood, and stood again. Not bad, he muttered. You hit like a mag train. Zalzin blinked in surprise. You still speak. Yeah, Cole grinned. We do that a lot. He circled again. The next few minutes were an exchange of styles, brute force against surgical violence. Zalzin tried to crush. Cole refused to be caught. Then came the opening. A wide step from the Dravari. Too wide. Cole flowed inside the guard, 3 hits in rapid fire, left hook to the kidney, elbow to the solar plexus, then a rising punch under the chin. Bone and cartilage popped. Zalzin stumbled. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A Dravari stumbling? Cole didn't celebrate. He respected the opponent. But he pressed forward. A flurry of low kicks to destabilize. Feints. Pressure. When Zalzin swung wide again, Cole ducked under, slipped behind, and wrapped his arm under the Dravari's neck, rear naked choke. It wouldn't hold long. Not with that size. But it didn't need to. Cole shifted, angled his body, and slammed a final short hook behind the ear. Zalzin froze. Then collapsed, face first. The arena was silent. Cole stood over the fallen champion, chest heaving. He didn't raise his fists. He didn't shout. He stepped back, hands open, and waited for the call. A moment later, a holographic drone descended and flashed, "Victory, human," in 6 languages. The honor pit thundered, not with cheers, but with stunned reverence. The Dravari High Elders stood and bowed. Not to Zalzin. To Cole Ramirez. Later, in the med chamber, Zalzin regained consciousness. He sat up slowly, pain flaring behind his eyes. Cole was waiting. You fought with courage, the Dravari said, voice rough. You fought with honor, Cole replied. Your species. I misjudged. Cole gave a small shrug. Most do. Zalzin stared at him. You could have killed me. I didn't come here to kill. Just to show we're not a joke. The Dravari warrior bowed his massive head. Message received. News of the duel spread like wildfire. Alien networks replayed the fight endlessly. Commentators analyzed Cole's strategy, endurance, and restraint. Martial traditions across a dozen worlds shifted overnight. The word human now meant something new. Not just chaotic, emotional beings, but dangerous, disciplined, resilient, and perhaps most of all, honorable. A new measure. The return to Earth orbit felt quiet. Too quiet, considering the storm Cole Ramirez had just walked through. On the UNS Franklin, the human delegation sat in stunned reflection. Cole's victory over Zalzin had appended more than protocol. It had shifted galactic perception. Ambassador Desai stared at a datapad showing Confederacy pole shifts. Earth's reputation score, once lingering in the novelty tier, had climbed 3 ranks in under 48 hours. Some species were even voting to elevate Earth's status to full diplomatic parity, an unheard-of leap for a world so recently interstellar. And all of it came down to one punch, followed by one deliberate choice: not to kill, even when he could. "Congratulations, Sergeant," Desai finally said, though it sounded more like a sigh than praise. "You didn't just win a duel. You redefined what it means to be human out here." Cole nodded, quietly. "That wasn't the goal. I just didn't want us to be laughed out of the room." Desai glanced up. "Well, now they're not laughing. Some of them are training." She tossed him a datapad. Cole raised an eyebrow. Footage played of Olari temple guards mimicking boxing drills. Karak blood chiefs running slow-motion breakdowns of footwork and centerline defense. Even a Revec combat cast attempting balance training, their insectoid legs stumbling through the fundamentals of a jab. "They're studying you, Ramirez," Desai said. "Because you didn't just fight. You fought with intention. And they're terrified." Cole scrolled. "They're learning our weaknesses too." "Yes," she agreed. "But they're learning something else as well. We don't escalate first. We're not conquerors. But push us, and we hit back hard, physically, philosophically, and politically." 3 days later, Cole was summoned again, this time to the Confederacy Assembly Hall on Aurelia Station, a neutral world known for its diplomatic sanctity. He stood before species he had only seen in databanks: the psionic cloudlings of Seral Tau, the crystalline delegates of Zarn, the multi-eyed war scribes of the Nenthary Accord. All eyes were on him. A towering voice addressed him, translated through dozens of tongues. "Sergeant Ramirez, you've been called not as a soldier, but as a symbol. Not to answer for violence, but to explain it." Cole cleared his throat. He hadn't prepared a speech. He didn't need one. "Violence isn't what defines us," he said. "It's our restraint that does. The punch, the fight, those were just reactions. Trained ones. But the choice not to kill, that's the real message. We're not wild. We're willing. There's a difference." Murmurs moved like wind across the chamber. One delegate asked, "Do all humans carry such potential?" Cole didn't smile, but his voice was steady. "All humans learn it. Not all master it. But it's there, in all of us. The will to fight back. And the will to stop short." Another voice rose. "And what lesson do you believe the galaxy should take from this incident?" He looked around the hall. Then answered, "Don't mistake kindness for weakness. And don't assume fists mean savagery. Sometimes, the punch is the last thing we want to throw. But if we do, it's because you left us no better choice." Back aboard the Franklin, a priority message arrived. Earth's status was upgraded. Humanity was granted full military observer rights within the Confederacy. Invitations to joint training programs followed. Martial arts academies across Earth were flooded with alien applicants. But more important than political shifts, a new respect had taken root. On distant mining colonies and gleaming capital worlds, alien children played pretend, not as laser-wielding pirates, but as humans. They mimicked punches, ducked imaginary claws, shouted catchphrases they'd heard in Earthvids. Even on Revec Prime, a surprising edict came from Wyrartak himself, still recovering, still humbled. "Add human hand-to-hand tactics to our War Academy curriculum, and teach the ethics behind them. They fight differently. And perhaps, they think differently too." Cole Ramirez never became a politician. He didn't want to be a hero. But his name etched itself into history, not because he was the strongest, but because when the galaxy expected rage or vengeance, he chose discipline. And in doing so, he taught the stars that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the punch. It was the control behind it.